you do that? How did you do that?
Welcome back everyone to another ESO build video. Today is going to be a brand new build. This is actually a stamina sorcerer and he's called CLEAVE. Now if that wasn't too obvious, this is built for AOE. Now this does have a very respectable single target damage output, but the more targets in the room, the more damage you will do across the board in area of effect, and the more damage you will do to the single target, because lots of abilities bounce off each other. But we're going to get to that in the video anyway, once I explain all the skills, the gear and all that good stuff. Starting, of course, with the stats. So first of all, we're going to buff up, make sure our potions are on, our food is on. We are on 16,000 health, 32.6k max stamina, 2.1, almost 2.2k stam recovery, which is insane. We are on 3.5k weapon damage, but that will go up considerably with our bonuses and glyphs and such. And we're on 50.9% crit chance. That, again, will actually go up inside trial scenarios if you have buffs applied by your group. Now, we have 11k resist across the board to start with, but obviously with our resistance buff on, we're actually sitting at 16.5 almost. Now, we do have 28 points into health and 36 into stamina. The reason they're balanced out is to give us 16k health to start with before buffs, which is actually very nice when we get Ebon and Minor Toughness. So we'll go over 18k in a trial situation, if you have those present. But also, we are using max stamina and recovery food. No health bonuses on this food whatsoever. We need the recovery to be a bit more spammy. Now, if you're not comfortable with this, and you do find this is a little bit too squishy, you can take all of your points out of health, put all of them into stamina, and go with flat max health, max stamina food. However, you will lose a lot of recovery, so you will have to heavy attack a lot more. With the two-handed passives, that's actually not the end of the world, but the choice is yours. If you want to have a faster rotation, use the flat stamina recovery food with the health points. If you want higher output for your actual abilities, but of course a slower rotation because you have to heavy more, then of course you can use this instead. Entirely up to you, whichever one you're more comfortable with, but of course the damage will be different depending on which ones you use. The more resource points you have, so the higher your stamina is, the stronger your light attacks, your heavy attacks, and your abilities. But of course the higher your recovery, the more you can spam them, so it's a trade-off. The choice is yours. We are of course stage 4 vampire. You can actually go stage 3 or below, it's entirely up to you. I always say stage 4. Just force of habit. I've never had any trouble in any content with it, but if you are feeling a little bit too squishy, you can go down to stage 3 so you don't have so much damage coming in from fire. We will get to those passives, don't worry. Shadow Munderstone, and of course we've already gone over the food. Now I am going to explain all the skills in detail, where they come from, what you morph them to, how they are applied, what they do and what they don't do. All that is going to be explained. If you think you already know everything, that's absolutely fine. You're welcome to skip this part, but if you do ask questions that I have already answered, obviously I'm not going to answer those because I've already done it. So, here we go. First of all, we are using Bound Armaments as our main passive bonus on our front bar. This is from the Daedric Summoning skill line. It's the 5th ability you unlock. Starts off as Bound Armor, morph it to Bound Armaments. Now, just for being on our bar, ignore the first part of the description. While slotted, we actually have an increased 8% maximum stamina. So, without this would be quite low. Unless you change your food, of course. And also your light attack damage is increased by 11%. We do light attack a lot. We will need that increase. This is very, very nice. Leave it on your bar and don't activate it. However, if you do activate it, that's where the first paragraph comes into play. You will gain 36% mitigation bonus for 3 seconds if you activate this and block. So, you'll notice here, hold block, press the button, you'll keep your block up, and for 3 seconds, you take a lot less damage while blocking. That is the only time you activate that skill, if you need to. If it's a big, big hit, you normally would die, pop that, and you will save yourself, depending on the content. But, again, for the rest of it, you just leave this on your bar for the flat stat. You'll be awarded that 8% max stamina and the 11% increase to light attack damage all the time for doing nothing. Now, next up is, of course, Barbed Trap. This was changed, but it's for the better, actually. This is in the Fighters Guild skill line. It's a 5th ability you unlock. Starts off as a Trap Beast, morph it to Barbed Trap. This used to be called Rearming Trap and no longer is the case. Before, you used to place one trap on the ground for 6 seconds, then after that 6 seconds is finished, it would apply again once more, so you had a 12-second uptime. That no longer happens. Now instead, you put a trap down on the ground. Now, while it's underground, it will actually do damage over time for 18 seconds, and it will grant you Minor Force, increasing all of your critical damage that you do by 10%. You must keep this in your rotation at all times. It's very, very powerful. Not just the damage over time, but that buff to all your crit damage is huge. So keep that up. Next up is Carve. Now, this is in our two-hander skill line. Yes, of course, we're using a two-hander. This is the 3rd ability you unlock. Starts off as Cleave, morph it to Carve. Now, this has two different versions, and this one is extremely important to the build. The other morph of this does a single hit in area of effect to all targets, obviously, that you hit, and that's it. Game over. Finished. But you get a damage shield for each thing that you hit, so it's a protective version of the skill. This one, not only does it hit initially to all the targets that are in front of you, but it will also apply a bleed to all of the targets in front of you. Now, bleeds do consider resistances now in Scalebreaker, but this is a 10-second damage over time to all targets that are affected. It's not capped at 6, it's every single target you hit. So you can spam this in some situations, or you can just hit it once and leave the dot running on everything. This is a massive area of effect here. Now, all you have to do is this. Just activate it. Now, as you can see here, this guy will be hit, and he'll have a damage over time on him. As you can see, he's bleeding. Now, if you've got 6 targets, they'll all get the bleed. If you've got 10 targets, they'll all get the bleed. If you've got 20 targets, they'll all get the bleed. We can demonstrate that in here, just in case people are wondering. Because I know sometimes people are like, well, I know you said it, but can you prove it? Sure. Here we go. Right into here. We're going to use this a few times, actually, because these dummies are set up on purpose for this. This is an extreme situation. You don't normally have this many ads, but as you can see... Oh, wrong button. Every one of them has got a bleed on them. All of them. Beautiful. So, that is very, very, very handy, especially in massive ad pulls, where you can either, don't keep doing beast trap, you can either spam it and do loads and loads of flat damage while keeping the bleed up, or you can just keep it in your rotation once every rotation to make sure you have that 10-second damage over time. It is nuts. Now, next up, of course, is Wrecking Blow. This is in our two-hander skill line. It's a first ability to unlock. Starts off as Uppercut, morph it to Wrecking Blow. It takes 0.8 seconds to wind up, so it does have a channel time, but it does massive physical damage in the form of single target damage. But every hit of this will increase your next light attack by 40%, and it'll stay with you for 5 seconds. Now, after you've done a light attack, you do a skill. After you've done a skill, you do a light attack, and so on and so forth. You always have one skill, one light, one skill, one light, if you can help it. The first one isn't empowered, of course, but after we do a Wrecking Blow, you can see here, this empowerment. So, if we Wrecking Blow... Oh, wrong button. Get that out of the way. Wrecking Blow, light attack, Wrecking Blow, light attack, Wrecking Blow. As you can see, we've got an empower every single time afterwards, and our light attack is buffed every single time. Very, very nice indeed. So keep that rotation up, which I will explain later, but make sure you don't miss those light attacks. It's very, very important that you weave with a light attack after every single one of these because it's stronger. Not to mention, of course, our light attacks are boosted by our bound armaments as well. So these two stack together quite nicely. But these are both situational. In your full single target rotation, your main spammable will be Wrecking Blow, and you will be using CLEAVE once every rotation because it's a hit and a dot. So you spam this while the dot is running. However, if you are in a situation where there are multiple ads, you will need to make sure that you primary your main target with your main single target damage over time abilities. But because there are so many enemies, we want to make sure that we spam this instead of this, because we want to do as much area of effect damage as possible. When we get to the gear, you're going to see why that is so beneficial, but just bear that in mind for now. Single target, spam Wrecking Blow. AOE situations, spam CLEAVE. I will explain it, don't worry. Reverse Slice is next. This is in a two-hander abilities as well. Same skill line, fourth ability to unlock. Starts off as Reverse Slash, morph it to Reverse Slice. Now, yes, the other morph does do more damage. At low health, under 50% by the way, this is an execute. Don't spam this at high health because it's useless. Use it at low health. In fact, you want to go for kind of a sweet spot, between 30 to 25% health if you can help it. The lower the health, the more damage you do. But this version does splash damage. So every other target around the focused target that you are trying to execute with this ability, within 5 meters, will take damage as well. They'll take up to 78% of the damage inflicted on the primary target. So obviously the lower the health, the more damage you do, the more splash damage you do in area of effect. So as you can see, obviously because of this, we have sacrificed our overall flat damage on single target, so to allow us to do more area of effect. And this is how it works. It's very, very simple. These have got quite high health, so you're not going to see a very big hit here, but you will see them all get hit. Every single one. That gets ridiculous. If you end up hitting between 80 to 100k from a single execute, that splash damage of 78% for each target around here. Your AoE damage is huge. Even at low end, we can still do a decent amount of damage. But, again, you want to make sure that you don't use this until the target's health is low. This will also be demonstrated in the rotation, and it is crazy. It can go very, very high. Flawless Dawnbreaker is next, and it's on our front bar just for passives. We will get to the passives later, after the skills are all explained, but this is in the Fighters Guild skill line. It's the level 10 ultimate, so you do have to have Fighters Guild 10 for this. Starts off as Dawnbreaker, morph it to Flawless Dawnbreaker. The actual morph for the passives doesn't make a difference, but we do want this because we do sometimes use it in emergencies. If you use it in an emergency, it's extremely cheap. It does physical damage over time to all targets caught in it, and it will increase your weapon damage by 300 for 20 seconds. This is our, oh shit, the boss is nearly dead and we don't have enough ultimate to fire our back bar. This is the only time you use it. Or if you're in a mass AoE pool, there's loads and loads of undead and you want to flatten them and get your ultimate back. Again, that'll make sense when we get to the passive. This is a emergency ultimate. It's not the main one that we use. It's very, very strong. Just note, by the way, this is a 0.4 second channel, so you can't animation cancel it. If you try and animation cancel it, it will fail. Back bar, bound armaments again. This is, of course, double barred, so we've got the same stamina on both bars, and we've got the same light attack damage on both bars. However, if you are in content where you are a bit cautious of your healers, you are struggling, maybe you're solo, or you just feel a bit squishy, you can swap this out, just don't stay on your back bar too long. If you do swap it out, you want to swap it for Echoing Vigor. Now, this is in the Assault skill line. Second ability to unlock starts off as Vigor, morph it to Echoing Vigor. Now, previously, of course, Vigor was different. There were some variations of it. Both of them did AoE. One was a bit longer range, but with a smaller heal, and the because it was more targets range-wise, and the other was a smaller radius and a stronger heal. This is no longer the case. Resolving Vigor is now only for you, and it's a very fast heal. Whereas this one is a longer heal with a much wider range. All you do is activate it, and then over time, in 15 meters area of effect, 50 meter radius in fact, you will heal yourself and other people. Very, very strong, really handy for your group and yourself. If you are struggling, if you feel like you need the extra heals, you can take bound armaments off for that on the back bar. But that is, of course, your choice. Next up is Poison Injection. This is from the Bow skill line. It's a 5th ability to unlock. Starts off as Poison Arrow, morph it to Poison Injection. Both versions of this do have a damage over time. The Venom Arrow does as well. But the Venom Arrow is a knockback, or interrupt, sorry. It's an interrupt, so long range interrupt with the bow, basically. But we don't want that. We want the extra damage. And this gets stronger the lower the target's health. So while this is our main execute here, for area of effect as well, not just single target, this is also our execute passively. All you've got to do is keep it on the target at all times. When their health goes lower, under 50% and lower, it will get stronger and stronger and stronger, up to 100% extra damage. Very, very nice indeed. Don't let it fall off. And this is very important towards our gear as well. So just bear that in mind. We will come back to that. Next up, of course, is our resistance buff and our area of effect damage over time. Now, this got reduced in terms of its damage output, but this is extremely important to the overall build. Now, this is in the Stormcalling skill line. It's called Hurricane. You want to morph it from Lightning form. Very, very nice indeed. Physical damage over time every second, and every 5 seconds it will get stronger and stronger, and the size will increase and the damage will improve. Now, this needs to be active all the time. It will make a lot more sense when we get to the gear, because you're going to see how it is applied in combat, but basically it looks like this. Anything caught inside of here will take damage every 1 second. Then every 5 seconds it will get bigger, up until its maximum amount, which at the last 5 seconds will be here, and then it will fall off. Now, while it's active, of course, you will gain Major Ward and Major Resolve, and Minor Expedition. So you'll run faster, and you'll have 2 major resistant buffs. So just for keeping up your area of effect damage over time ability, you are actually a bit tankier. So this is very, very nice indeed. So make sure this doesn't ever run out, but try not to spam it, because obviously the longer the duration, the more damage it will do. Now, next up, of course, has been drastically changed, and again, we've gone for AOE, not single target, and this is Soul Splitting Trap. This is, of course, in your Soul Magic skill line. You get this at the beginning of the game. Starts off as Soul Trap, morph it to Soul Splitting Trap. Now, does this do more damage if you pick the single target version? Yes. Yes, it does. Single target. We're an AOE setup. We want damage over time in area of effect. It is crucial to the setup. So, we've dipped single target damage on purpose. so that we can have a damage over time that affects multiple targets within an 8-meter radius of the initial cast. Now, how does this work? Oh, one more thing just to consider. This does say magic damage and physical damage. What this will do is it will pick your highest resource. For us, it's stamina, and it will base off of that. So if you're high magicka, it will be magic damage. If you're high stamina, it will be physical damage. This is how it works. Instead of the single target version, we have this, which will hit everyone. And just in case that wasn't clear enough and people assume there's a cap, we'll do it over here as well. Every single one of them. Every single one. Now, if you add that to our cleave spam, we've got a stupid amount of AOE. Then you add it to our execute, an area of effect. You can see where we're going with it. And, of course, our hurricane. I'm deliberately staying away from the skeletons because there's some effects that are going to go off that I don't want to spoil just yet. But spammable in AOE, execute in AOE, AOE resistance buff, AOE soul trap. Absolutely mental. And next up, of course, is another AOE ability. This is in our bow skill line. This is called Arrow Barrage. This is the second ability, that you unlock. Starts off as volley, so if I ever say volley, I mean this one. And morph it to Arrow Barrage. Endless Hail does last longer, but it does less damage. This one is a shorter duration, and our overall rotation is not that long anyway, so this actually fits in very, very nicely. Either morph is fine, but this one did obviously give more damage output. And this, of course, big AOE on the ground, another area of effect, with every 1 second doing damage. And of course, again, no cap, you can hit as many targets as you like, as long as they fit in the area of effect. So you can see they're all getting hit. Now, finally, we've got our ultimate. On our back bar, you've got two choices here. First of all, Summoned Charged Atronach. Now, this is from our Storm... No, it's not. Daedric Summoning skill line. This is originally Summoned Storm Atronach. The other morph of this does do more single target damage, and it lasts a bit longer. But this particular morph adds area of effect as well. So, this will land and do a nasty shock blast when it hits the ground, and stun the enemies if they can be stunned for 3 seconds. It will zap the closest enemy, dealing 4.6k shock damage every 1 second, and periodically do burst area of effect damage as well. Bear in mind, by the way, this is lightning damage, so this can proc minor vulnerability in the form of concussion. Which means, of course, if you've got anyone using a lightning staff, that will force off balance. So this is actually very, very nice. But this, although it does shock damage, actually does scale off of our highest resources. So whether you're a magicka build or a stamina build, this will benefit you no matter what. It's really, really nice. But, of course, you do have to make sure that you've got some decent spell pen buffs and bonuses in your group, of course, to make it shine. But it's really, really strong. Now, this also benefits your group, because if anyone takes a synergy off of it, they will gain Major Berserk, increasing all of their damage done by 25% for 8 seconds. So it's a group buff, it's an AoE smasher, which is what we're built for anyway. And, of course, it does decent single target as well. Again, the other morph does more single target, but we are built for AoE on purpose. It's very, very handy. Also, the other choice for this, Dark Magic, Suppression Field. It doesn't do as much damage as the Summon Charge Atronach, but this does do damage every half a second instead of every 1 second. It can stun everyone in the area of effect as long as they can be stunned, and it lasts for 12 seconds. So you end up getting 24 ticks out of this. That, again, when we get to the gear, is extremely important for area of effect burst damage. But again, no more spoilers as far as that's concerned. Starts off as negate magic, by the way. If I ever say negate bubble, I mean this. Morph it to suppression field. The other one is a heal. So you can have that or the Atronach on your bar. This one for more damage, this one for more control and burst AoE. That will make sense. Stay with me. Now, passives. We're not actually using any dark magic abilities, so you can skip that passive. After blocking an attack, your next health, magicka, or stamina ability cost is reduced by 15%. So if you do block anything, your next ability is cheaper, no matter what it is, except for ultimates. That's really handy. Get that. When you cast a dark magic ability, you grant minor prophecy to you and your group, increasing their spell crit rating by 1320 for 20 seconds. That does actually apply to us if we use suppression field. So get that passive just in case you are using that ultimate. It's actually a really good damage ultimate, even though it does magic damage, but this one does do a little bit more. Daedric Summoning, of course, is semi-important. Some are not. This one restores magicka if your Daedric Summoning pet is killed or unsummoned. This doesn't actually count, so we don't need this passive. And the bottom one here increases your max health by 8% while a Daedric Summoning pet is active. Again, the ultimate doesn't apply, so we don't need that passive, but we do need these two. This one reduces the cost of your ultimate abilities by 15%, so we can use our ultimate more often. And this increases your health and stam recovery by 20% while you have a Daedric summoning ability slotted. We do, of course, have our ultimate, which does count towards that. And, of course, if we didn't have that ultimate, we would have bound armaments, which also does count if you choose to put it there. Remember, you can swap that for vigor if you want to. However, on the front bar, we always have it, so we do get this bonus here. The stam recovery actually does obviously stack with our bonuses that we've got, our food, our potions, and all that good stuff, so it's really, really handy. Stormcalling, of course, is essential. This will increase your mag recovery by 10%. We are actually using a magical cost ability because Soul Trap actually costs magic. So we are using that. Increases your shock and physical damage by 5%. We're doing loads and loads and loads and loads of physical. And we're also doing shock damage with our Storm Arrow. So that does contribute. So get that. Increases your damage done against enemies by 1% for every 10% of their current health they have. Now, that means the higher the health, the more damage you will do. The lower the health, obviously it will drop and drop and drop. 1% every 10%. So 100% you'll do 10% extra damage. 90% you'll do 9% extra damage, and so on and so forth, all the way down to the lowest amount. That isn't a negative as such. That's just a class design. Basically, we're built for burst. Sorc or Stamsorc, you excel at high damage at high health, just to crush them down while everybody else throws in their executes when they go low. But for us, because we do have 2 execute abilities, we have this and we have this, we close the gap and build it back up again. So they trade off each other. It's really, really handy. High burst and decent execute at the same time. Increase your weapon and spell damage by 2% for each ability slotted from the Sorcerer skill lines. We have a 6% bonus on the back bar because we have 3 Sorcerer abilities slotted, which is handy because the bow bar tends to have less flat weapon damage. So that does actually contribute to us quite a lot. It's really nice. On the front bar, we do have 1, so we get a 2% bonus there. So 2% on the front and 6% on the back. Now we're going to go into the two-hander skill line. You are going to need all of these, but you need to pay close attention to them. Your light and heavy attacks damage up to 3 other nearby enemies for 50% of the damage inflicted on the primary target. So while we're weaving our light attacks, which we will, or our heavy attacks, watch. Multiple targets get hit, as you can see. So that's really, really handy. Make sure that you weave your light attacks and your heavy attacks because you will do splash damage. Again, area of effect, which we're built for. This is very, very important. This grants you a bonus based on a weapon type you are using. We are actually using an axe on purpose because the axe has a 16% chance to apply a bleed to the target, doing almost 12k damage without all the buffs and bonuses for 6 seconds. So you can apply light attacks or heavy attacks to the targets or abilities and actually make them bleed. If you look above his head, it's got the red blood dripping ability. That's a bleed. And that can happen to many, many targets at once. So let's just recap over some of our AoE stuff. Damage over time bleed on this, and an equal bleed in our passives per target, if you're lucky. AoE execute, area of effect and physical and spell resistance, area of effect physical damage, area of effect physical damage, and we've got 2 executes, one of which is single target and one of which is area of effect. Obviously they do stack together, but one does splash and one doesn't. Really, really handy. Plus we've got an area of effect ultimate. So far, as long as you're with me, you can see that we've got really good damage over time in area of effect. I'm going to say that hundreds of times, you're going to get sick of it. Next up, of course, oh yeah, of course, this is very important. If you have a sword, you will have more flat damage. If you have a mace, you'll go through more physical resistances. But if you don't have an axe, you won't get the additional bleed. The damage over time is crucial to the build. If you don't have it, your abilities and procs are not going to be as beneficial as they should be, and you will suffer in performance. You've got to have an axe for this setup. Anyway, reduce the stamina cost of all your two-handed abilities. They are expensive. We want to get the cost down. Now, when you deal damage with a fully charged heavy attack, your next direct attack used within 7 seconds deals an additional 10% extra damage. So, if I heavy attack this dude here, you will see that I've got a buff called damage bonus, or bonus damage in fact. That means that my next single hit, whether it's another heavy attack, my initial hit from the cleave, my original execute hit, or my Reckon Blow, any of them, because they all count as direct single target technically, any of those will be increased. So heavy hit, heavy hit, heavy hit, if you're using flat stat food, is actually quite beneficial. You can do some really, really nasty stuff, especially during execute. So again, pay attention to your passives. And finally, this increases your stam recovery by a whopping 30% for 10 seconds after killing a target. So, if you're running through loads of ads and they're getting low, look for the low one, pick on him, execute him, 30% stam recovery, continue to whack stuff. It's like a berserker kind of passive. The more you kill, the more you can continue to kill. It's very, very strong indeed. Don't forget, of course, we do actually have almost 2.2k stam recovery, so this goes mental. Now, we are using a bow, of course, so you will want these passives. This gives you a damage bonus of up to 12% against targets at longer range. So, your bow abilities specifically. So, your arrow barrage, your light attack, and your poison injection. If you're inside mechanics, weaving in and out of stuff or whatever, if you're at range, this will increase their damage. This increases the weapon crit rate and while on that bar. This reduces the cost of the abilities, which you will need. And this obviously gives you a damage bonus for every light or heavy attack you do with your bow. Now, the rest of my bow skills are 5% stronger. Now they're 10% stronger. And this will go up to 5 times. Everything I now do is 25% stronger for my bow. Abilities and light and heavies. But it only lasts 5 seconds. And then it runs out. And it's all gone again. And it goes back down to normal. We're not going to get the full benefit of that. We're not going to get the 5 ticks because we're not a bow build as such. We just utilize the bow in our rotation. But we can get between 3 and 4 of them if we pay attention to our light attack. So we will benefit from the damage while we're on our front bar or while we're on our back until it runs out. So it is really, really helpful. You've got to get Hawkeye passive. Hazy Retreat, of course, gives you a speed bonus if you dodge roll. So basically, very simple. If you dodge roll with your bow, you run faster for 4 seconds. But bear in mind, there is a negative effect to overcasting dodge rolls. If you keep spamming dodge rolls, the next one and the next one and the next one will be multiplied and cost more. So don't dodge roll too much. Try and have about a 4-second gap. We are using no light armor whatsoever. As you can see, no bonuses. We're using no heavy armor whatsoever. No bonuses. But we are using 7 medium. So you want these passives. This will increase your weapon crit rating based on each piece won. This will reduce your cost of stamina abilities and will increase your stam recovery. This is for sneaking, so it's not that important, but if you want it, get it, depending on what content you're doing, whether you're solo, PvP, or perhaps you are going for march of sacrifices, because you do need it in there. This will increase your weapon damage by 15% for 5 pieces worn or more, and this will increase your movement speed and reduction to dodge roll costs. Very, very important indeed. Now, the reason we don't have any light or heavy, because I usually go 5-1-1 if I can help it, is because this particular setup is not able to do so. But there are some swap outs where you can, and we'll get to that when we get to the gear. Soul Magic isn't that important. You don't necessarily need these passives, but I do take them anyway because you get soul gems back and all that good stuff. But that's up to you to read. Essentially, you just want the skill. Vampire, of course, if you have stage 2 Vampire or higher, you'll have increased mag and stam recovery by 10%. So that's also really, really important. And if you're stage 3 or higher, while under 50% health, you take less damage. So you get tankier the lower your health, which is a survival passive. It's very, very strong indeed. I'm always stage 4 because I can't be bothered to mess around feeding or using food to get my level down and all that stuff. But if you are uncomfortable with stage 4 and you do feel like you're dying in fire too much, you can bring it down, of course. But don't go under stage 3 because if you do, you'll lose this passive. And then you'll be squishier. Just be careful of fire. Don't stand in stupid. And if you do stand in it, make sure your healer's paying attention. Now, Fighter's Guild, you will need these passives. Intimidating Presence, of course, reduces the cost of your Fighter's Guild abilities. We are using one. We will need this passive. This increases the weapon damage by 3% for each ability on your bar from this skill line. As you can see, we've got nothing on the back bar, but we do have a 6% bonus to our weapon damage for having 3 sorc abilities, which is nice. Now, on the front bar, we have a 6% bonus because we have a Beast Trap, which is 3%. We have Dawnbreaker, which is 3%. And we have Bound Armaments, which is a sorc ability. So we have 6% here, plus the 2% here. On our back bar, we have a 6% increase to weapon damage. On our front bar, we have 8. Banish the Wicked is insane. You will be getting an abundance of kills. This is built for AOE destruction. You will get kills. And if they are undead, Daedra, or werewolves, you will get 9 ultimate back for every single one of them. Which means you can obviously use your ultimate a lot more. Your Fighter's Guild abilities will deal additional 20% damage to undead, Daedra, and werewolves as well. You will need that because if you do use an emergency Dawnbreaker or you use your Beast Trap, which you should be, those will do more damage to those types of targets. Mage's Guild, Psijic, and Thieves Guild we don't need. Undaunted you will need. Every single synergy in the game is beneficial for you or somebody else, whoever takes it. Whether it's a heal, a damage shield, a resource gain, or a damage output bonus, it doesn't matter. Every single one is beneficial. If you take them and you have this passive, you will also gain back health, magic, and stamina, which will help towards your survival and your sustain. Take the synergies. Don't leave them there for everybody else. Everyone else can take them as well. Everyone's got a 20-second cooldown for every single synergy. So if you take one now, someone else can take it for the next 20 seconds and you can't. So take the synergies. Undaunted Metal, of course, is very important. It's more beneficial to us the more different types of armor we have, because you can get more flat resources. But since we're only using one type of armor, we can only get a 2% bonus rather than a 6%. But we will take it because we do want it. Support, you do not need. Or Assault. We just use a skill in there occasionally. But we are, of course, an Orc. We have a 2k increase stamina bonus. We have a 1k increase health bonus. And when we deal damage, we heal. So if we do damage with a weapon ability, whether it be a light attack, a heavy attack, or a skill, once every 4 seconds, we can actually heal. And we'll just demonstrate that so it's obvious. Look to the right-hand side of my character, you'll see a green number. 630. I didn't even crit. That's a heal. Once every 4 seconds for a weapon ability firing. Now, for argument's sake, let's use a weapon ability that's damage over time. There's my first heal. 4 seconds in. Heal again. As long as you're doing damage with a weapon ability, you will heal constantly. This increases your weapon damage by 258 and reduces the cost of sprint and increases your movement speed. We have a 10% bonus for being an Orc for movement speed. We have a 10% bonus here in the form of Minor Expedition. We have a 30% bonus if we dodge roll. And of course in our medium armor skill line, we do actually have increased speed as well. So we're really, really fast. Now, you can use other races, of course, if you prefer. You can use any race you want. There's no restrictions on it. But just consider what you will lose in terms of the passives if you do swap out for something else. Also consider one very important note, your health. At the moment, our points are put in positions where we've got just enough to have 16k health, unless we're trial buffed, in which case we'll have a lot more. If you use a different race that doesn't have a health bonus, you will drop that and you will have to alter your attributes more. And you will have to consider, of course, if you do so and you take points out of your stamina to go into your health, you will lose overall damage output. So the trade-off is there for you. Up to you what you do, but obviously the Orc was really, really nice on this. Now, Alchemy, of course, is one of the most, if not the most important skill line in the entire game for this passive alone. 30% increase on your duration for your potions. We are using weapon power pots. We will be using them as soon as they've run out. We will use another one. So we're going to have 100% uptime on them. The reason that is because they do last 36 seconds if you use the crafted ones. But with this passive, they last 47.6. So they beat the cooldown. So we always use these as soon as it's grey. Obviously, keep an eye on it. As soon as it is available again, pop it. Really, really simple stuff. Now, going to get into the gear, and this is going to hopefully start making a lot more sense. Now, as you know, so far, we have apparently good single target, but we have massive AOE. And the reason we're spec'd for this is because of our sets. First of all, don't panic. You don't have to have this. I'm just showing you the optimal choice, but there are other options. Now, this is the Master's Battle Axe. It comes from Veteran Dragonstar Arena. Do not panic. There is a guide on my channel. I'll even put it in the description. Hopefully, you can get it done. And if you do, you can get one of these. Now, you can use an agility weapon if you prefer. That actually worked out really, really well because you had 1.4k extra stamina on the front bar, so the damage was really, really nice, especially single target. There was almost no difference. However, as soon as you start introducing 1 add, 2 add, 3 add, and more, this gets nuts because your cleave ability, or your carve that we're using, gets stronger. Not the bleed, but the initial hit. So it deals an extra 1500 for each enemy in the conal area of effect. But it can only go to a maximum of 9k. Yes, you can crit it. Now, that means that 6 targets can increase this to its maximum potential, and then every single target around it will be hit for that much. Now, how does that work? Let's try not to do any buffs or anything. Hopefully we can crit this straight away. Doesn't matter. Didn't crit. Okay, so that was 7.3 with no buffs or bonuses applied. Now, we'll hit these. That was not 7k. That was a lot more. Now, we'll hit the one which has got buffs on it. All the rest don't, but this guy does. And you'll see massive numbers there, way into the 30s. So the more targets, the better. Up to 6, but the more there are, of course, after you've already hit 6, the rest will all get hit for equivalent damage. It's very, very strong indeed. So the bleed still applies to the skill itself, but the initial hit is boosted to crap with this. Now, again, if you don't have this right now, don't worry, you can use an agility weapon instead. But, of course, you won't get the extra damage from the cleave. So your overall area of effect, instant hits, will go down, but the bleed will be the same. This is very strong. Now, we're using poisons on purpose because we don't need any particular glyphs on this. We're not using infused, we are using sharpened. We want to use our poisons, and these poisons can do damage over time as well. Now, you have 2 procs here, dealing damage every 2 seconds, roughly. Give or take, because of their awkward cooldown and their awkward timers. But these are very, very strong, and they will contribute to our major bonus set, which is coming up shortly. So just bear with me here. We have bleeds and dots and all that stuff running, and area of effect. Yes, some single target. Yes, there's some AOE, but this will all count. Next up is the Master's Bow. Again, VDSA. No trial stuff yet. I said yet. There are options, don't worry. This is also in Vet Dragonstar Arena. This will increase the damage done to the target that you are up against with Poison Arrow on it. So, it doesn't show in your stats, but this target here will take X amount of damage. But if Poison Injection is on him, fired from that bow, while that is active, he will take more damage from all of my attacks. If I have it on him, and him as well, so will they. It will be effectively as though we've got an extra 301 weapon damage. So, make sure your Poison Injection is on the target at all times. You can use the Maelstrom Bow if you like. Obviously, you'll lose this bonus, and you will instead get the increased area of effect damage from Arrow Barrage. The single target damage over time was actually more with the Master's Bow. The area of effect was actually not that much different overall, but it was a little bit higher. So the choice is actually yours, but I personally preference the Master's Bow. However, again, if you don't have this yet, don't panic. You can also go agility on your back bar as well and have the extra 1.4k extra stamina to have a nice little bit of a boost to your overall damage in place of this for the time being. So you can go 2 agility here if you want, 1 on the front, 1 on the back, so when you swap you have the same bonus, or a master of each. This must be infused, by the way, because you are using Arrow Barrage, which is awesome. It's an area of effect, damage over time weapon ability. Any ground or area of effect based weapon abilities will continuously proc your back bar glyph through its cooldown and uptime, as long as that is the case. Single target dots, however, do not. So, as long as our Arrow Barrage is up, this weapon spell damage increase will constantly stay with us. So don't let the dots fall off. Now, this, don't panic, is a flex slot. You can swap this stuff out. This is for single target fights mostly. This is Reliquin, of course. It's perfected. If you have perfected, if you don't panic. You can use the normal stuff. The only difference is you'll have 1k less stamina. Now, this has 2 crit bonuses, minus Slayer increase, and all of your damage done by 5%, which is insane, especially in AOE, because that does boost all of our damage. But, of course, every light or heavy attack that you apply stacks a wind on the target. Every 1 second minimum. Up to 20 stacks. Now, as long as you keep doing a light attack or heavy attack at least once every 5 seconds, this will stay on them indefinitely. And it will get stronger and stronger and stronger up to 20 stacks, and it will do a stupid amount of single target damage, alongside everything else we've got. But, if you don't have this, don't panic. You can go Briarheart, or, if you prefer, you can actually go with 3 Reliquin on the body, and you can go with 2 Krag. Now, you can go heavy and light on the heavy helmet and the light shoulder, or vice versa if you prefer, or you can go full medium and just get the benefit from the minus Slayer bonus. If you do this, however, you don't need Reliquin per se. You could have Reliquin, you could have Alkosh, you could have Vicious Ophidian, you can have anything that's got minus Slayer on it. But for the purpose of this particular setup, I'm going to show you overall with this build, best case scenario, where we're actually using Reliquin the whole time. But you can swap out if you prefer. Again, there are lots of choices here. You can go 5 Reliquin, or you can go 3 Reliquin and 2 Krag. Bear in mind, by the way, the damage over time procs from Krag are very, very fast. So in mass AoEs, this is actually really nice. Anyway, the main set that we are using, bear in mind, by the way, helmet and shoulders of Reliquin and 3 jewelry. 1 infused, 2 bloodthirsty to boost our execute. The other set we are using, I'm sure you've seen this video already if you're watching my channel, is Azure Blight, and this is absolutely nuts. It's got a crit bonus, a max stam bonus, a recovery bonus, which is really nice, and when you deal damage with a damage over time effect, you apply a stack of Blight Seed on your target for 5 seconds. every single dot tick that you do again will restart that timer. And it will stack and stack and stack up to 20 stacks. And then it will explode and do disease damage in area of effect, affecting targets nearby. An enemy that has reached 20 stacks can't be affected for another 2 seconds, however. But in the video I demonstrated not long ago, look very carefully on this target. You'll see above his head, he's got the poison injection. But you'll also see that he's got another debuff on there, the bluish one. And as you can see, it's going up with every damage tick. Look at this guy. He has also got it. It says, when it runs out, it can't be reapplied for 2 seconds. But it doesn't say the whole set can't be reprocced. It says per target. So if you are understanding what that does, now I'm going to show you how this looks to multiple targets. As you can see, there's damage over time, and every single one of them has got the procs building up. So, if we put this all together, I'll wait for them to run off first, because otherwise they're going to pop prematurely. We don't want that to happen. We have Boundless, we have Soul Trap, we have Arrow Barrage, we have our Cleave, which does bleed to every single target. So we're going to put all those together. And I'm going to let go of the buttons. Boom. 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 Every single one of them is blowing up. And then they're reapplying it. I'm not even doing a rotation and they're continuously firing. Now, when you get into a rotation, and you've got multiple targets, anywhere between 3 upwards, this is where it gets really, really mental. Because obviously your initial cleave becomes your spammable instead of your wreck and blow. Which means our master's weapon can shine. I am going to do briefly a rotation to show you how mental that can get. I'm doing 100k area of effect already. That's it. 100k area of effect. Just for spamming a few abilities. And keeping dots up. And they will explode. Every single damage over time will stack and stack and stack and stack. Every single tick. That is why Negate Bubble is so powerful on the setup if you want to get rid of trash quickly, because it ticks every half a second, and there is no gap between each dot tick there. You can tick up damage as fast as you like. As long as it actually counts as a damage over time tick, it will add another stack all the way up to 20 and go boom. Now, in an extreme situation, look very carefully at the top left-hand side of my screen for damage over time. No, you don't normally have 20 adds, but we're going to give you a quick example of the potential of it in big, big ad pools. And this is where this build shines if your tanks are good at positioning ads. Every single one of those has 20 ticks of damage over time on them, with 5 or 6 dots constantly speeding that up, and they all explode and blow up and kill each other. Every single target is its own bomb. And when they go low health, you can start executing in area of effect as well. There's a million damage in area of effect for you. Very, 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 very strong. So this is bloody mental. So, again, to recap over the choices, Master's Axe, Master's Bow. Sharpened and Infused. If you don't have them, you can just go 2 Agility for now. 5 Reliquin for the single target boost plus the overall 5% damage. And 5 Azure Blight. Again, if you don't have Reliquin as a full set, you can use any medium trial set that has Minor Slayer on it for 3 pieces, and then put Krug on the shoulders and helmet. I will demonstrate Krug very, very quickly, just to give you an idea. You're looking for this, I can show you on this dude. It will do 3 very quick shots. And as you can see, the ticks went up really, really fast. So now we'll do that over here. You saw how fast the first explosion started. This is going to be quicker. They're going to start blowing up about now. There's one. Now they're all going. As you can see, in area of effect, because it's got really, really quick procs, it boosts the speed at which the procs go off. So you can basically get in there faster. Again, situations and what you have access to depend on which version you actually use. But again, for most content, you want to have really high or decent single target if you can help it. with a balanced amount of AOE. Although this is slightly unbalanced, it's very high. Situational though, you have to make sure your tanks are paying attention and doing some really wicked pulls for you to be able to benefit from this. And if you are a long-term follower, by the way, I'm pretty sure you've probably seen the Easy Sorc. If you have an Easy Sorc alongside you, the AOE in the room is disgusting. Because they can proc all the off-balance and do shit tons of AOE, and you're built for AOE in the physical side of things. So all your dots make explosions happen, and all their dots make your damage go up. Oh dear, oh dear. Now, we're going to go into the champion points, then I'm going to show you the rotation, and then I'm going to show you a quick demonstration on the target dummy to show you the single target potential. Then I'm going to show you another quick demonstration of how much your single target damage goes up if there are adds present. So, start with the red tree. First of all, 72 points into Ironclad to reduce the amount of direct damage we take. Again, just bear in mind the red stuff you can change depending on content. 64 and 64 to reduce all other damage we take by 13%, and 19% reduction to damage over time. Just bear in mind, of course, we do have Unchained, so if you break free, your next stamina ability costs 80% less, so use something expensive. Quick recovery, 19 points to give us a 5% increase to all healing received. All heals, including our own passive. Oh, and of course, we've got access to the field physician, which will give you a 15% damage reduction while resurrecting people. So if you are rezzing anyone in your group, which you probably will do at some point, you take less damage. 44 points into Warlord to reduce the cost of break free. 75 points into Tenacity to give us a 14% increase to our heavy attack return. We will be heavy attacking occasionally. It does boost our damage a bit, so of course, and does splash damage. So it's very, very handy. And 75 points into Stam Recovery, of course. 72 points into Tumbling to give us a 23% reduction to cost. Our dodge roll's really cheap, especially in 7 medium. And we've got 4 points into Shadow Ward just to finish off our remaining points, which will also open the Treasure Hunter passive. So if you are looking for specific loot, this will give you higher quality loot from chests. Nothing in there. 61 points into Master at Arms to increase all of our direct damage. That also counts towards our Carve ability, the initial hit, and in area of effect as well, because it hits multiple targets with direct damage. 8 points, of course, into Physical Weapons Expert to increase our lights and heavy attacks. 56 into Thaumaturge. We are doing a lot of damage over time, but we obviously want to make sure our burst is higher. So our explosions that go off from Azure Blight, that is direct damage, but our damage over time procs it. So we want to make sure that our damage over time that pushes the proc is decent, while our actual burst or bomb explosions, if you like, is higher. So that works out really, really nice. 61 points into Precise to make sure that we've got a decent amount of critical damage. We are using the Shadow Moonstone as well, so it does stack. 35 points into Piercing. Not 61 like I do on most builds. We are using a two-handed sharpened weapon. So our penetration values are covered. We are doing very, very well. So we've dropped this right down to make sure that we can catch up with all the buffs and bonuses without spending too many points in here. 49 points into Mighty to increase all other damage that we do. Physical damage or disease damage or poison damage by 11%. Now, just bear in mind, of course, when I was telling you about the damage over time procs. So we've got our Cleave, we've got our Hurricane, we've got our Arrow Barrage, we've got our Soul Trap, and all that good stuff. Just bear in mind the Bleed is one type of dot that procs by chance, but also so is the Poison. See if we can get the Poison proc in. There we go. He's got 2 damage over times on him, and it's going up rapidly. And we got a Poison status effect all at once. Luck was on our side. That one exploded before that one. That can happen, so that's why your single target damage is actually up. Now, rotation-wise, very, very simple. We'll use this dummy here. So, your Beast Trap must be down at all times. So, you obviously want Beast Trap down. That's your first dot. And your buff to Minor Force. Then, you want to hit with Carve. Very simple. There's your dot going off. Now, you want Light Attack, Wreck and Blow. 4 times. Then you would Beast Trap and swap. Your back bar is very simple. You don't always cast 2 Beast Traps. That's just saying you must have your Beast Trap down when you start the fight. Your front bar is literally 1 Cleave and then Light Attack, Wreck and Blow 4 times. Light Attack, Beast Trap, swap bars. Back bar is very simple. Light Attack, Arrow Barrage. Light Attack, Poison Injection. Light Attack, Soul Trap. Light Attack, Hurricane, swap bars. So we'll go again. Light Cleave. Light Reckon 4 times. Light Beast Trap, swap. Light Volley, Light Poison, Light Soul Trap, Light Hurricane, swap. Start again. Rinse, 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 repeat. Very, very simple. Very straightforward. If you're struggling with stamina, use 1 heavy attack and 1 Wreck and Blow in place of 2. If it's Execute, so they're 25% health and lower, let's say, you replace all Wreck and Blows with this. With your Execute. So use 4 of them instead of for Wreck and Blows. And if you are in an area of effect situation where you have 3 or more adds, don't use Wreck and Blow. Just spam carve 5 times. Light carve, light carve, light carve, light carve. Instead of 1 carve and 4 reckons. Really, really simple stuff. And that will annihilate entire rooms. Now, I'm going to show you a single target demonstration with Wreck and Blow as my main spammable and my execute obviously as my finisher. Then, like I said, I'm going to show you a demonstration such as this where you can see how much single target is being done in an extreme situation. So, here we go.
I love winning. Drinks all around. I love winning. Drinks all around.
So, hopefully that helped, hopefully that wasn't too boring, hopefully you have a better understanding of how to approach this particular build. It does have very respectable single target damage, and even if you have the lesser version of it, perhaps you're using Krag instead of a full relic set, and perhaps you have the agility weapons instead of the master weapons, you can still crack 70 to 75k easily, but of course with this overall setup you can hit higher. Now, first of all, of course, if you are not subscribing already, please do hit that button. It's free. Furthermore, if you want to help support outside of the channel, there are some links in the info section for Patreon, Twitter, and of course the website, XynodeGaming.com, where all the written guides are. And of course, don't forget, there's an All About Mechanics series on that website with every single dungeon covered. Also, there are arenas on there as well, including VDSA, Dragonstar Arena, and it is all on an add-on for PC as well, with written guides. Once again, thank you all very, very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.